will introduce herself later. We also should have joining us, Mr. Huey. And today's topic we will be looking at once again police media relation. This is a topic that we would have explored sometime recently, and we felt that it is an area that we must have continued interaction and ongoing discussion in relation to that to better improve the working relationship between the police and the media. And so at some aspect we will be touching on social media as well as the traditional media. So we will have joining us periodically Mr. Andre Huey. So I'll just turn over now to our Public Relations Officer. She will introduce herself. The last time she was here, she would have spoken very widely on the role of police public relations and the media. And so I'll just allow her to introduce herself, and then she can just give a synopsis as to what she does as the police relations officer, and how does she see the media fit into her work.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Leslie Joseph. As Sergeant Maguire would have indicated, I am the Public Relations Officer for the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. I am also the Communications Officer for the Ministry of National Security. Now, to get down to the meat of it and to answer Sergeant Maguire's question, it's my job to ensure that information that the public should know with regards to law enforcement and its procedures, anything that has happened in the country, be it criminal acts or anything that could pose a threat or concern to public safety that had police involvement, it's my job to ensure that the public is informed.
Right. And in performing that duty, what is your own assessment of the public's perception in is information coming from the police timely, adequate?
Well, of course, it's timely. I'm the one doing it now. So that's no issue at all. It's from the feedback that I get, it's adequate, and I'm hoping that people will be as upfront with me as I am with them and everyone else. It is adequate. In the event there are questions, for example, from the media, they know that they can whether message me or call me, or they're free to contact me.
Right.
And I address all their concerns as best I can, insofar as the information can be released to the public.
Right. And so, seeing that we are joined by Mr. Huey, I will bring him in and ask, while I ask you, how do you find the role of the media in relation to the police in performing your tasks? Does it complement your work as the police public relations officer? Does it poses any challenge or any difficulty? What are some of those? And then I will let Mr. Andre, Mr. Huey weigh in. Yes.
Okay, well, absolutely, the media is it's a great assistance with regards to getting information to go throughout the population rapid fire. The police can do so much, but the media can actually do so much more. The media, right. They have access to more platforms. They have an established following, be it by radio or social media. They have news packages, so there are people who are going to be listening and or watching steadily. So it's very much it's a really great help to have information out of the police force included as part of the media packages that media houses put together to present to the public.
Okay. Mr. Hugh, introduce yourself and weigh in on
Okay, thanks for having me. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andre Huey, the news director at SK Newsline, but I'm here in the capacity as the president of the Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. To Leslie's point, I do see the importance of the media, obviously, because the police and the work that the police performs is very important to the country and to the nation. And as such, the public must be kept abreast of what is happening as it relates to national security. The police is at the vanguard of national security, is at the forefront of national security. So any new developments, whether it be investigations or anything of the sort, the police would want to convey that information to the public. And the better and probably the best way to do that is through mass media. So here in St. Kitts Nevis, and our membership is comprised of a wide variety of different platforms. You have the traditional media, the radio stations, TV. You have new media, which is online, digital media, and also a lot of social media platforms as well, which are accompanying those media outlets. So people get their information from various ways. And as such, as the media, we try to keep the public abreast and informed of what's happening in the country. And the police, by no means, is no less of an entity to provide information that's pertinent and important to the public.
Right, right. And so we had invited Model Cop to be part of the panel, and the reason for that is that I recognize that he more or less performed somewhat a different role, still media, but a different role in that he utilizes the digital platform and the social media and so on. And so there's seemingly that there is a rush or an effort to like get the news for us. And so by doing that, that is like you're getting at the scene and you want to make sure that you get the news out. I will ask Leslie, how do you see that affecting the police investigation? And vice versa, Mr. Huey, you can say how important you see getting the information out to the public in terms of force and awe as early as possible. Do you think that that should be done as the police would have some investigation into whatever incident and then the information is disseminated to the public? So
You want me to go first or Leslie?
Leslie could go in
Okay.
first.
Well, with regards to media getting to the scene of any incident first, I mean, of course, it fits into any media house's agenda to get the story first. My major concern, and has been a concern of mine for a while now, a concern that I have voiced to the competent authorities. My concern is that information that one gets, let's say, for example, at the scene of a crime, it is not always what is revealed. It's not always in line with what is revealed once the investigation has actually commenced. What people need to understand is that what happens at the scene of a crime, first and foremost, it's to preserve the scene, control, basically get people to settle down, because you can't stop people from flocking. You can only try to keep them at a distance. You want to ensure that the scene does not get contaminated, because there goes the investigation.
Right.
You need to see what happened or try to make sense of what happened before you can answer any questions to the media, because at that time, once police just gets to the scene of anything, they know as much as the media does. They know that something happened that required law enforcement's involvement. Until even the initial investigation is done, questions should be held.
Right. So listen to what you're explaining. I'm guessing that you're saying that when media houses try to rush to the scene and try to report as it happened, it can be disruptive to the investigation.
Very much so. Very much so. It can also, there's also the very high possibility of injecting erroneous information into the public, because sometimes an officer may feel like, okay, they're pressured to answer because the media person is officer, what happened, and they don't want to seem uncooperative with the media. So in situations like that, sometimes I'm not saying it's happening now. I know it has happened before, even before I came into the picture, that the officer would say, well, XYZ ABC happened. I don't know anything else. But then once the investigation starts, 50% of what the officer said is proven to be incorrect. But that information, a media house or media houses have already ran with it, put it out into the public, and we know how our people are wonderful at spreading information.
Right.
They're even faster than the media houses. That has just gone absolutely viral. And then now comes the police after the investigation has progressed and they've gotten some depth to it. 3 or 4 days later, they may issue a formal statement on the occurrence, and 25% of what has been floating around in the public is what is realized to be true, coming from the press release. And then the police ends up looking bad because, our people are wonderful again at pointing fingers. Police put out wrong information in the public, or the police is hiding this, the police is hiding that, when that is absolutely not the case.
Right.
It does not benefit the police in any way, shape, or form to withhold information from the public.
Right.
None at all. So it's just imperative that we understand, both as a general population and media houses, that while there's a rush to get to the scene to find out what happened first, you really want to find out what happened, give it a little bit of time.
Right. So, Mr. Huey, how do you think the media should responsibly discharge their role in an investigation in terms of allowing the police to have conduct the investigation without any kind of disruption or possible contamination, and at the same time providing the relevant information to the public?
Right. Well, first of all, before I get to the meat of that question, I want to make a distinction. Because of the use of social media today and technology and the access that people have to disseminate information, you have a situation where people can easily share information, whether it's accurate or not. And as such, the media has an even greater responsibility, a greater role, because now people who really want to get the right and correct information are going to look to the established media houses to get that information. That is not to say that the role that influencers and social media personalities play is unimportant. And in fact, I would say it's even more important, because they are probably going to get the information out before the traditional media outlets do. And for obvious reasons. As a media host that is established, a news media host, that people look to you for the accurate information, you have to ensure that what you publish is accurate.
Right.
I am more concerned about getting it right than getting it first. Because you can get it first and get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, you lose your credibility.
Right.
A lot of persons who share information, influencers especially, they don't have they're not held to the same standard as a traditional media outlet. If I, Andre Huey, go and report something to try to get it out before everybody else and it's wrong, people are going to hold that against me and my entity. As opposed to a social media influencer who is accustomed to getting it first, but is not held to the same standard in getting it right. So I wanted to make that distinction first. As a media association, one of the things that we try to do, and we're working really hard at doing that, is provide training for our membership. And in our training, we want to ensure that our members understand good journalism ethics. And as such, good journalism ethics would point you to ensure that the information you're putting out, whether you put it out first or you put it out last, that is accurate, because people look to you for the accurate information. So I want to make that point clear. As it relates to investigations on crime scenes, we as an association, we met with the Police High Command recently. And one of the concerns we had was the ability for journalists to be able to get information on crime scenes. So if a crime happens at a particular area, we show up. Who can we speak to as journalists, as media people, from the police that are investigating the crime, to get at least in the initial information? We understand that investigations are being done and you can't divulge too much, and you also have to get to the bottom of things before you can actually divulge a lot of information. we're not asking for the grave details at that point because we know the investigation is fresh. You, as Leslie rightfully say, you could say something now and then it turns out to be inaccurate later. So we just want the basics because at the end of the day, people who are on the scene are going to be sharing information. Social media influencers are going to be there sharing the information. And you want to ensure that you at least put something that represents most of the facts as opposed to allowing the information to run rampant and a lot of inaccuracies are out there.
Right.
So we just want to be able to have a point of contact when we come to a crime scene to be given basic information as to, okay, this is what we understand has occurred, etc., etc. We can't provide more information at this time. The investigation is ongoing. We're okay with that. And we know that, you know, once the investigation is, you gather the more information, that Leslie will send out a release and say, well, this is the information that we have at hand. And then we will publish it. I'm okay with that. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm more concerned with getting it right than getting it first, because you want to ensure that when you put the information out there, it's accurate.
Right. So we will take a break now and we will come back. And so when we come back, we'll pick up with the social media point. And as you pose in your remarks, you were saying that when you get to a crime scene, you want to know, well, who speaks to the media when the media is looking information. So I'll let Leslie weigh in on that in relation to the police force media policy. So we'll take a break now and then we'll pick up from there when we come back.
Tell me what you think about Marcus. Tell me what you think about Christ. It's their sacrifice now.
Meet the Johnson family, living a good life. How are they able to afford all this? By switching their mortgage to National. And you too can take advantage of this great offer. Yes, National Bank's Switch Mortgage will make your dreams a reality with the lowest interest rates guaranteed. You will have more disposable income than ever before. Imagine the possibilities. National Bank Switch Mortgage makes all the difference. Come home to National Bank and get your Switch Mortgage today. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
Make your move with Quartz Ready Cash and get a payment holiday for the holidays. Plus, with your next Quartz Ready Cash loan, you can enter to win up to $20,000 cash, plus other fabulous prizes in the Ready Cash Mega Money Roadshow. All you need is your ID, proof of address, payslip, job letter, and 2 references. Fund your life your way with Quartz Ready Cash. Get $100 cash when you refer a friend to Quartz Ready Cash. The more friends you refer, the more cash in your hand. Apply now. Visit shopquartz.com. Make your move with a loan from Quartz Ready Cash. We are ready when you are. Conditions apply.
Mommy, remember you told me if I pass all my exams, you would buy me a brand new laptop computer, a cell phone, and a PlayStation 4? Well, here are the results.
Wow, son, you did great. But where can I find all these stuff at affordable prices?
Smart Electronics, Mommy. They have stuff for the entire family. They have washing machines, cell phones, tablets, refrigerators, TVs, blenders, irons, microwave ovens, Bluetooth speakers, and much, much more. And they are located at Port Zante opposite the food court.
Wow, but son, where did you get all these information?
My friend told me, and he also told me if you buy them somewhere else, they won't last.
Is that so?
Yes, Mommy, so I don't want you to buy them anywhere else but Smart Electronics.
Okay, son, get dressed. We're going down to Smart Electronics.
No need to go to St. Martin anymore. We have everything available right here in St. Kitts. And remember, we have only one store in St. Kitts, and we are located at Port Zante opposite the food court. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Okay, we are back and we want to use the opportunity because of our limited time. So if there is any of our listening audience want to weigh in on what we are discussing today, you can call in and we will take your call, but we will discuss while you continue the discussion while we wait your call. So you made the point in the distinction between traditional or registered media house and the social media. And so this might be a very good point of information for the general public
Right.
in relation to that distinction. And how do you see the both being of the same and different in relation to the responsibility? Because it's all they are seen as media
Right.
in its entire category.
Well, there is a big difference. For one, established media houses, first of all, are registered businesses. So that's their core job. So they have social media pages, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they use that to disseminate information. But they are core, by their core, they are a registered business. So they file taxes, they do all the things that businesses are expected to do. While social media influencers are just personalities that have access to a social media page or whatever, or a website. It could be a website as well, and they use that as a hobby. They do it as a hobby, on the side, or something they enjoy doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people are entitled to do whatever they enjoy doing. What I think should happen really, I think the onus is really on the public to vet information that they receive. So, and make it be clear, you can actually get accurate information from personalities. We're not trying to say that because there's a distinction between a social media personality and a media host, that the media host always gets it right and the social media person always gets it wrong. No, that we're not saying that, because we've actually, even as media, we've sometimes taken our lead from some of these postings and things that are posted by bloggers and bloggers, right? It is our responsibility, once that information goes public, that we take it and vet it to see if it's accurate. And then we can use that as a lead, if it is indeed accurate, use it as a lead to investigate the story.
By that you mean investigate.
Right, to investigate the story, right. So we're not going to say because Model Cop published it or because Everton Powell that we're going to run with
These
it.
are popular.
These are popular bloggers. We can take the information and then investigate it further to see if indeed there is truth to it. And if there is, then we have a story. And then we can go on and publish that story. So sometimes they do provide good leads to the media too. So we're not saying that they're all bad or all wrong. But again, I think it's really the onus is on the public. I always say information is like food. You're not going to eat from anybody. You're not going to eat anything. You're going to investigate to ensure that what you're eating is indeed hygienic and healthy to eat. So it goes with information. If you get information, vet it to ensure that it's coming from that first of all, that is accurate, and two, that it is properly vetted, so that when you form your decision making, you're doing so on accurate information.
Right.
And I'll make the point too that we have a call.
We have a call. All right, so we'll take the call.
Hello, a blessed good morning. Listening to the program, right? But when anything like shooting and so in St. Kitts, other country don't get it and calling us, so we always late behind. But we only with other people countries with the shooting them. Thank you.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, just we could continue. I guess the caller was just highlighting the because even myself sometimes, even as a police officer, I am here and sometimes people from overseas will tell me about things that I might not be aware of at the time.
That's because, like Andre pointed out, civilians have smartphones and access to social media. And when criminal acts are committed, they're very seldom committed in remote areas where nobody walks or lives or hangs out. So people see things, and the first thing they're going to do is pull out the phone. And either run a live if they have the data for it, or they're going to take a video, and that video, they're going to send it around. And of course, so people are going to know that, something happened. But our point is ascertaining whether or not the something that happened that you know about is the accurate something. Because what I've come to realize is that there are social media personalities that like to put out information, but it's the mellorized, quote unquote, information.
Sensationalizing of the information.
It's hyped up. It's God. It's for the drama, the this, the that. It's like, this happened, that happened. That is not the role of the police, nor is the role of the police as public relations officer. There will be no sensationalism over here. What has happened, if it is gruesome, the gruesome details will be filtered out because there are ethics and there are laws and policies that guide the manner in which information is compiled and presented to the public.
Right. And going back to Mr.
Yes.
Andrews, Mr. Huey point, where he says when a media house come to the scene, they always wanted to get the information and they will want a point of contact. Who usually normally be?
Well, it was my understanding that there used to be someone who usually did that. That was before I came in to work with police, but we are now in discussion still with regards to reinstituting that arrangement to accommodate the media.
Right. Well, we have a force media policy, and basically, with our force media policy, let's take this call.
Yes.
Hello. Okay. So with within the force media policy, that no officer below the rank of a sergeant is authorized to speak to the media. Not only that, most of the time when there is a investigation within that policy, someone is designated to be that point of contact to speak and so on. And so you're correct in terms of trying to ascertain that point person to give you the information, because what that does, when you get the information and you get it from the police, the police is a legitimate source. So that point person must be somebody who has the information and the accurate information.
Yeah.
And so that most of the time these things should be done within the guidelines of our media policy. We'll take another call.
Hello.
Hello, morning.
Yes, good morning, police.
Morning.
According to the name of the topic, police in video. Well, this is police without pay. And a lot of times, we, the citizens, we are always police with the police. We see certain things that is law-breaking happening publicly, and we would inform the police. Well, then, I see Bonansi down so doing something negative. I see Botukuma over so doing something negative. So therefore the police can depend on what Terrapin to tell him what he see. But over the years now, we've been hearing that police pick up 2 guns from up so, 1 from so, and all over the place. But yet still we cannot know who to look at when we see them in certain areas and tell the police, look, I see Tom, Dick, or Harry in the area, and according to their record, we know what they have been doing, negative things. But how come we, the public, don't get information who you are catch doing the importing these things like guns, illegal guns? How come we don't know that we could alert you all and tell them, well, this boat or that person down there are doing the activity? Why is it? Why is it that not a public information? That's my question, and here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. If I grasp your question, that is why we have a police public relations officer to disseminate information to the general public. Of course, as Ms. Jefferson said, certain information will be filtered because you don't release information that pertains to your source or the intelligence that you may have, but information that is enough to make persons aware of certain work of the police, certain activity that been happening, certain investigation that the police are conducting, and so there will be a determination as to what information should be disseminated to the general public. The objective is that the community or the public is part in the fight of in the effort of crime fighting with the police. And so the public supposed to get the information in order to be able to assist the police.
Agreed. Just to
Yeah.
respond to something that the caller said. When police is issuing information to the public, the information must follow certain guidelines. The information that is released cannot negatively impact any ongoing investigation. It cannot violate anybody's rights, be it the victim or the perpetrators, because everybody has rights. It cannot incite the public to violence or anger. Of course, people are going to have an emotional reaction to the information, but it cannot be seen as purposely trying to trigger people towards violence, because then the cycle repeats.
Right.
Now, the caller said something about why the public can't be told or isn't told about Tom, Dick, or Harry, and so that they can, if they see them in a certain area, they can report to police. That in and of itself is a major problem. That's a violation of their rights. There are people who have committed criminal acts. They have been caught by police. They have been prosecuted in accordance with the law. They may or may not have been sentenced to serve time at His Majesty's prison. Once they have done that and they have been released, please leave the people alone insofar as they are living their lives.
They should be
within the
allowed to be
confines of the law.
living normal lives in society.
That's the point of them having gone through the judicial system and come out is so that they can return to being productive, law-abiding citizens and residents of society. Now, that is not to say that you will erase all public apprehension with regards to these people. That's for the public to deal with. It is a cultural phenomenon of ours. The people will have to deal with that. But you cannot go around targeting these people just because they've done something in the past. They've committed some infraction with the law, regardless of how heinous it is. If they've served their time and they have been released, please leave them alone. If you see them committing a crime again, then as a citizen, it is your duty to do your part to ensure the safety and security of your community, loved ones, assets, etc. So naturally, if you see them in the commission of a crime or you see them doing something that is harmful, then yes, you do have a duty to inform the police. But other than that, if you see them walking on the road with a plastic bag in their hand, please don't assume that they stole it from somebody and call police and say you saw X, Y, Z with a plastic bag.
Right, because even if something happened and the police have to arrest, that person is still presumed innocent
Until proven
guilty. So that is a very important aspect.
I just wanted to make a point on what was said earlier regarding the point person at the crime scene.
Yes.
The Media Association, like I said, we would have had a meeting with the High Command earlier this year, and one of the things that we discussed was to probably have a senior officer, or the senior officer at the scene, who would be authorized to speak to the media.
Right.
In addition to that, what we did when we restarted the association last year was we ensured that our members have identification cards. So even if they were not issued a press pass by their media house, we have a media association press pass that's issued to every member of the association, so that when they show up to a crime scene and they show that media pass, it will be recognized by the police as an official bona fide journalist or media person, and would be allowed, at certain places. The courtesy of the police.
Right, and that's a good point for us to do a wrap up. How can the media assist in crime fighting efforts?
Well, I think that's one area, just to have a working relationship with the police to the point where the work of the media is respected and the work of the police is respected. One other thing I think, and we'll go on record to say that we have seen some improvements in the communication from the police. We get press releases regularly from Leslie as it relates to investigation and things that happen. One of the things that we've battled with over the years is to get timely information. And I see some attempts to work on that, because even with we've spoke at length about social media postings and people sharing information that may be inaccurate. What can help diffuse that some of the times is when the police respond in a timely manner with information that can maybe not go ahead of what has already been released, but at least come out in a timely way to combat what's already been released. Because if people, the saying goes that, in the absence, there's a vacuum when you have an absence of information, and people will fill that vacuum with whatever information they get or what they perceive to be accurate.
Right.
So if the police can, respond in a timely manner with information, and like I said, it's not all the time you would need to put out all the details, because if the investigation is ongoing, we don't expect you to give us all the details. And even so, the details might also compromise the investigation. So we don't expect that you're going to give us too much details. But if we can get the basic information in a timely manner, then that can help to provide some clarity sometimes to incidents, so that people don't run with wrong information.
Right.
So that is one of the areas that over the years we've sort of battled, for lack of a better word, with the police on that. Where I think also the media could help is if we, and again, this comes with training and guiding our membership in the correct way, is terminologies. I think one of the things that we sometimes battle with is using what terminology to use as it relates to certain things. I know in police language there are certain words that we think mean a certain way and it means something else.
Yes.
And to sort of deal with that, we are also in the process of working together to have a training workshop with law enforcement and aspects of law enforcement, where we can be educated on some of these things so that we can properly report on areas of crime and criminal investigation. So these are some of the things I think, and I'm sure there are others, but these are the ones that come to mind.
Right.
At this time.
Right. And Leslie, how important are public relations in police work in terms of influencing public content? Because all what we discuss is really what information get to the public and to what extent the public is being informed. So how do you see public relations, the police public relations, in terms of disseminating information, public content to the public?
Well, as Andrew would have pointed out, information goes to the media in a very timely manner. Like I said once, I'm the one issuing the releases.
Right.
As soon as I get the information, I don't even let it cool. I compile what I need to compile and I send it. It's straight. It's always hot. It's always hot. So once I get it,
I like that, you don't allow it.
no, not at all. No, because I know how fast social media operates, and not just Facebook, WhatsApp. It's in a split second.
Yeah.
Messages and videos are forwarded. Even though WhatsApp sort of limits how many people, I think people just sit down and select their 10 and send. They just keep going until they get it to 300 people.
Right.
But I do my best to ensure that the information I get is accurate. I put together the press releases and I send them to the media houses as soon as possible. I actually even send them to the media houses before I update police's social media. So I always prioritize the media.
Good.
The deputy commissioner can attest to the fact that as soon as I learn that something has happened, I am in his messages. I am harassing him for the information. As soon as any media house asks a question, I am harassing him. If I don't have the information, because I'm not a police officer, if I don't have the information, I'm in his inbox. I will harass him. If I don't get him, I will call him, because I understand how fast misinformation spreads in our culture, especially when it triggers that dopamine, that excitement. And be like, oh gosh, our people like that. They feed on that. So we can't kill that. You can't get rid of that.
Yeah,
but
that
you have to we have to all work together and do our best to ensure that you want to get hyped off of the right information, please.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, you vet the information. You get.
Yes.
And one of the things that I will also say before we close is that as much as people love to get the melee, or as we say, the information that comes to their inbox first, they tend to, generally speaking, look for verification from the traditional media outlets.
That's one thing I'm actually happy to see now. People, I've heard people say, well, Macy Freedom post anything on the Facebook page, but I get this on WhatsApp. Well, Macy says anything about it, and I'm like,
So
oh,
that
so
is
they
like the
actually,
check.
yes,
and that is why
I'm glad to see
it
that.
still happens, and that is why it's important for traditional media outlets to maintain that ethical standard, because people are looking to us for accuracy. They will take whatever comes their way, and they see it, but they will always turn to the established media outlets for verification. So it's important that we get it. And that's why I said, while getting it first is great, and it's good for even some media outlets, it's important to get it right.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, people are going to come back to you. And I've experienced this personally, where people would check with us on certain things because they saw somebody send them a WhatsApp or they saw something on social media. They always come back to check traditional outlets to make sure that it's indeed accurate.
Right.
Accurate, yes.
Okay. Any last minute thought, Leslie? Anything you want to drive home in relation to the police media relation and the public as a whole?
I thoroughly enjoy this discussion. I always enjoy working with the media. I worked in media before I came into this job, and so I understand the value of information, and I also respect the public's right to know what is happening in their country. So I do my best to ensure that the information from my end is issued as quickly as possible. The media houses get it, they disseminate it, and our people are properly informed. Of course, they're still going to look for the sensationalized version first, because you have to get that little fix. And then it's okay, once that settles down, they're still going to look to read what really happened. And that's one thing I must say, that the press releases that go on the police Facebook page, people read them. As much as I've heard people say, oh, people don't like to read. No, people are reading them. They read them because they want to know.
Right.
So, I commend the public, those who assist police in these investigations. I commend them as well, because they've decided to take an active role in the safety and security of their communities and their country, and that always goes a long way.
Right.
I am very happy to see that the media continues to work with police. And so long as I'm here, police will always work with the media. If there's any hiccups or anything, we'll always get to iron them out. And it is genuinely a relationship that I respect and cherish.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks for inviting me on the program, and it was a really good discussion. I would just echo some of what Leslie said in terms of the media and the police working in terms of getting information to the public. It is essential because, like I said at the start, the police is a very important entity in the country, and as such, the work of the police also is important for the public to understand, especially as it relates to crime and national security. What I will also say is to encourage people to take more responsibility with the information you consume. Consider it as food. If you eat junk food, at the end of the day, it will affect your health.
That's right.
And again, like I said, the social media personalities play an active role, because they're going to be on the vanguard and on the forefront, and they're going to want to get the information even out before the traditional outlets. That's okay, once the information is accurate. And sometimes, like I said, we will get leads from that, and once the information is accurate, we can go out and we investigate it. At the end of the day, I want to convey to all journalists and media workers to maintain your standards, because people look to you, people look to us to get the information right. And if we fail them, then they will have nowhere else to turn to, and they will just have to feed on whatever they get. So it is important that we ensure that while it's important to get it first, it's even more important to get it right.
Right. And there you have it, radio listeners. We want to thank all of our ardent and, regular listeners, both at home and abroad. Until next week, we come again at you with another series of Policing with You. So continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Tell me what you think about Marcus. Tell me what you think about Christ. Made their sacrifice now.